Organissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.organissima.com. Organissima, New York. Your beauty is our...
Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, and the Sales World channel today. And I do have a dear friend and a guest. My guest is a dear friend that we've gone to college together, a long time ago, and we haven't actually spoken in 30 years. And we've been in connection on social media for a few, and finally we were able to actually connect and make this work today. And the reason she's our guest today, because she is an actual business and shift coach and someone that helps people kind of change their lives for better. And this all stemmed from her own story. And it was a change for herself. And as she did that to herself, she realized that she needed to do this for other people and turn that into something that is more, rewarding. And she did. And so I have with me Coach Bouchra Chaoui. And again, Bouchra, thank you for being with me today. I mean, it's a great to have a friend actually on the set. So it's different. I get guests all the time, but not very few that I actually know in person in live. So welcome to the show, and thank you for the opportunity to be with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Hisham. It has been a while.
I know. Well, I do want to say this. Bouchra is actually in Canada, so we actually are across borders right now, and it's I think it's very cold back there.
It's snowing right now, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen. I mean, we had snow this week, so hey. But I just wanted to also highlight the fact that Bouchra and I we've talked about this show specifically, and the purpose of it is really to not only highlight her services, but also to bring to people the idea that there is a possibility to change. There is a lot of things that we can do, and if things sometimes are not going your way, we can do this. And we're gonna go deep dive on this stuff in a minute. So Bouchra, I didn't mean to cut you off. Let me ask you first of all to tell us about your story and how it all started. I mean, I know we go back, so I probably know the first part of your life, but the last 30 years I don't know much about. So let's talk about all that.
Absolutely. So thank you for introducing me, and let me add some items to this presentation. So, I'm blown away. That I restarted my life in Canada. I used to live in Morocco. I worked in Morocco, and all my life was in Morocco. But in 2000, I decided to restart my life in Canada. I got my MBA and became a business and shift coach after more than 15 years in the corporate job, which is not easy, right?
I know about it.
But it wasn't always this way. I experienced burnout. I was unfulfilled in my corporate job, not knowing how to navigate life, and confused each time something bad happened to me. I ended up ill and not able to walk for many years without pain. So this is the part you didn't know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I remember it was the winter 2014 on a freezing cold day. I was still grieving from the loss of my dad. It was from my way back home at night, and I was stuck in the traffic for 2 hours. There was a big snowstorm. While in my car waiting, I had an ice pad under my legs to reduce the pain. The highway was packed with cars like in a parking lot. I was so desperate to arrive home to have some morphine. It was that bad. And prepare dinner for my family. I had a toddler at the time. You know, we women tend to feel so stressed if we are late to be home to prepare foods for our families. So once in my neighborhood, I've seen some beautiful deers running and hiding behind our house in the forest. Slowly drove on the hill and get in front of my house. I opened the door, and of course, very slowly, because I am in pain, deep pain, I smell like very nice firewood smell. I remember that night, I was so in pain that I couldn't stand nor move. It was a night, yeah. So my husband called the ambulance because I couldn't move. It was that critical. My husband called the ambulance. I was, of course, crying of pain. Even morphine didn't help. And I landed in the emergency as usual. And the doctor told me, there is nothing we can do for you other than injecting more morphine. I was laying down on the hospital bed and the injection in my hands because they gave me stronger dose. I was desperate. I was desperate to live a normal life, to walk without pain. And that was a very shifting moment in my life. And I said, this must end. I can't rely on medicine anymore. Yeah, this is quite bringing me some memories, but I'm fine. But my situation wasn't improving until I decided to invest in myself, to, seek alternative medicine. I used to do acupuncture, cupping therapy, and more. And I started to be my personal development journey. Yeah, I've learned a lot, and I'm sorry about that, but life happened for us, not to us. I've learned that mindset is everything, and that everything we need is inside us. Mm-hmm. And that we are in control of our emotions. That anything happens was for a reason. So I was my first student. I was my first client, and then I turned my mess to a message. Because of all these lessons I've learned, I am committed to help driven and fulfilled stressed women to shift their mindset and create a profitable, purpose-driven business to live the life of their dreams. I don't want any women to suffer like I did. It was a nightmare, but I want it to be a dream life for everyone. So this is my story, and I still, each time I say it, I still bring me all those memories, but give me more reason to help others. I don't want them to suffer.
Wow. Well, first of all, I'm like a little in shock here because I mean it is an emotional story, and it's obviously I didn't know a lot of stuff, and wow, I mean it I have to say it's amazing that, you know, and we're gonna break down a little bit of all the stuff that you cover right now, but
Yeah.
sometimes events that happen in life are major shift makers or shift, you know, points in life, and that's when people sometimes either they collapse or they just, you know, prevail. And I think you chose the latter. You actually prevailed and you changed it for the better. And that's a great message for people. And we're going to dive into it in further. But first things first, you know, we talked about you having a whole career in Morocco. Yeah, because I know you and I, you know, went to the same, you know, university. And then I departed a long time ago. You know, 30 years ago exactly. And then you stayed and you had your own career there and everything. And if you don't mind, can you just briefly tell us about that experience, like the work, you know, and the environment, and what really drove you to actually change your life and move to Canada in the first place, if you don't mind. And then we can talk about your career path in Canada in terms of corporate, because I can tell you a lot of people are in the same position. And the reason I want to ask about this particular, you know, transition from Morocco to Canada and so on, and then the shift again, is really to tell people that at the end of the day, when life, you know, gives you something that is not acceptable, you feel that there's, you know, a dead end, you know, that's not a dead end. You just find another access, another exit, and move on to the next one. You know, it never ends until we end. So there is always a way. There's hope. So I just want to make sure that we preface with that one. So Bouchra, let's talk about that first transition, you know, college into the work in Morocco, and then the experience you had there in corporate there, and I guess government and whatever, and then you moved to Canada. First of all, that shift itself is a big deal. I mean, see, I never worked in Morocco, so it's a little hard, but for you, changing from one level to the other in Canada is a whole different world.
You know, Hisham, we may need more episodes.
Well, we can always do that. That's fine. I got that. I got control of that one.
Yeah, but yeah, I started from Canada, but there are other stories there, and yes, I did a big shift, a huge shift, and came to another country. So remember when we finished school, I remember I finished in 1994, and I didn't stay home at all. As soon as I finished, I got a call, you were hired. Even the
Nice.
interview, I didn't have it because of my financial ability and financial skills. Some colleague of us, and her name is Amal. She
Oh,
called me. Amal. She's in Japan right now. So
greetings
she
to
called me.
Amal if she can hear us.
Yes. So I've never um, um, forget that day. I was like, you know, I just finished. I am in with my parents. I need nothing. You know, I didn't even start dreaming what I will do after my degree. And then she called me. She said, you know, our company, which is a holding Morocco and Germany holding. It's a big one in the tourism industry. We need you. We need your financial skills right now. I said, okay, can I have like a month or two just to see what I want to do? No. Right now, we want to see you in the headquarters. So I lived there and I met the boss and big man. He's really good, and he just saw my memoir, my the
Jesus.
after yeah the thesis I had in after my 4 years in the university. It was a feasibility study for a complex in the region of Moulay Bousleham, and we had the intellectual property on that study.
Nice.
And I came and hi, and he said, how much do you want? I said, you don't have
That's a
any
good.
questions?
That's a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I said, you don't have any question for me? He said, no. just seeing your cheese and ates and how Amal talked about you and about your skills, you were hired. So I was hired, and I keep this for another episode. It was a big story in this company, but I was hired after 2 months of training. I went to Marrakesh, which is there was a location there that has the biggest, I think, the biggest revenue from all the excursion and the tourism products. So I was there as responsible for audit and administration. Anyway, after 2 years of ups and downs, and for streamlining the processes and cleaning the all what's going on in that location, I was fired. Yes, after all the achievement, I was fired because of some, behind the scene stuff in the company and the relationships.
Wow.
So as I said, it's another big story, but I was fired. And that was like the end of the world for me at the time. I was so young. After that, I refused to work for anyone. I got a lot of offers, but I declined them because I was so scared to have the same experience as I had in that company. And from there, I went to Casablanca and I worked in Casablanca, etc., etc. So anyway, after a couple of positions, I find myself, I don't want to stay all my life working for others and doing that work. It's not exciting for me anymore. And by the way, I stepped into the commercial side of it, not only the financial. So I became a travel agent, director for some companies. And even though I decided that's not for me, I need to have more degrees. I need to have my MBA. So an MBA was the driver for me to go to Canada. So yeah, so that's the whole thing. But the learning from this stage, and after all the training and event I've attended here in Canada or during the COVID, is that I was conditioned to wait for others to appreciate what I do. Mm-hmm. I was successful at school, I was successful at work, and work came to me. I didn't look for work. But this was not emotionally, it was draining because I was always waiting for others to appreciate, but I've never celebrated my wins.
Interesting.
So yeah.
So Bouchra, I do want to just dissect a little bit, this. First of all, I think just for the purpose of the show and for the audiences, the context of the university or the school that we both went to is an international school for tourism. It's one of the few in the world that basically provides an actual school academia for professionals in the tourism industry in the world. And so that was the context. And there's different branches. And I think you were in the finance world while I was in the tourism world off the bat. And I think that's we were in different branches or different, I guess sections of the curriculum there. But at the end of the day, we all kind of do similar stuff, but different specialties. And so just to give the context of where you're and because of the nature of the school, the people that are usually formed in there technically get better opportunities and access. Plus, there is a good, I guess support system behind the school system itself. Mm-hmm. And but for a lot of people that are watching nationally in Morocco or internationally in Canada or in the US right now, in our land here, the bottom line is this is not something that everybody usually gets, but depending on the school, sometimes you have these school placements or job placement that happen in college, and depending on your, I guess, skills and level of expertise or grades and whatever the case may be, sometimes people get selected, and it is easier for some than others. But I think the story here is not so much that the ease part of it, because you can be the best and you are selected. The problem is when you get into the real world of the business world is brutal. It's really cutthroat, and sometimes as success sometimes does drive hate and prejudice and jealousy and envy and all
Thank
the other
you.
stuff that happens. And I think for a lot of people, some people listen like, well, you got lucky, you just got hired, you don't even have to get an interview. Listen, I can say the same. I was picked up from Disney and I came in right away. So, but that doesn't last forever. You get a little bit of a moonlight, like a little honeymoon, over a year or so and a couple of years, but then the rest is history and you had to make it on your own. But it gives you a good start. So let's not take that for granted. I mean, yes, it gives you that nice little exposure and learning, curve early on in the real world. And that gives you strength. See, that's the other thing, talking about mindset. That's actually, it depends how you look at it. You can look at it, oh my God, what the hell's going on? The world is against me. Or you can like, great, I learned a lot of stuff. Now I'm going to use this as an ammunition and be able to be a stronger person. Again, this is just how you look at things. I mean, the topic today is really going to be mindset. So we're going to just talk about it all along.
Yes.
So Bouchra, now that I put that in context, then you made the decision to leap. I mean, Canada is a whole different world. The advantage, obviously in Canada for Moroccans is the French, the language, for the most part. And the other thing is that you took the challenge. You didn't go to the French section. You went to the English section. Well, at least I think you transited twice.
Actually, I first went to the French side, where a lot of graduates from the same school were there. So I was in a community. It was French, but because I love challenges, I accepted a job in the Ontario side, which was in English. So I stepped in another challenge and get adapted to the language. And now my life is like in the United States. It's not francophone anymore. So this is another layer of all the challenges I took in my life.
Well, again, I'm highlighting it for a purpose. Again, this is what makes a difference in when people talk about success and shift and mindset. You have to be willing to make those transitions and take the challenges. A lot of people are afraid of those changes. And so like you're a perfect example of like one change after the other, things don't work out. You see something else, you move to the next level, and nothing stops you. If you need to learn a skill, you learn it. If you learn a language, you learn it. Whatever it takes to get to the next level. And this is the biggest message I think that we can send to people, is that you can do this too. Anyone watching and listening all over the world, doesn't matter what language you speak, doesn't matter what background you have. Yes, some people say, well, you guys got lucky. You went to this particular school, and it is considered, unequal to the US and Ivy level, to franchise, but it doesn't matter. You still have to go through the same thing. Yes, you get lucky sometimes. Luck, has nothing to do with it. There's different reasons why people do what they do and how they wind up where they wind up. But at the end of the day is when you go to real life, nothing else matters. Doesn't matter who you were, where you were. It's a lot of the things that can happen to you. And you're an example where it started perfect. I mean, hello, who doesn't want to be hired on the spot, no interview, just come in, how much would you like to make? That's a great thing. But then only to know that a year later, 2 years later, after a good success, things can happen. And by the way, anyone if you're not working for yourself, and that we're going to talk about business piece of it too, it doesn't matter how good you are. Companies shift, companies close, things happen. You might not see eye to eye, and you wind up moving from one company to the other. Sometimes companies fail you fail them. It doesn't matter. It's just a perspective, where angle you sit. But at the end of the day, it happens to everyone. So know that and be willing and prepared that at any given time to make a move. And so that's the other thing. Like, you don't settle and you say, this is it, that's the end. What the minute you do, that's probably when you actually hurt yourself. I mean, always be ready, learn skills on the side. So you're never actually going to rely on one thing. And that's my concept personally. I'm doing different things at the same time. And, I love what I do and everything I do, but at the same time, I have options, so if somebody says, okay, well, I've had this personally when, I was doing great in this company and the company closed. They just decided no more in the East Coast, done, over. So all of a sudden, literally, I was on a trip. I came back the next morning, like, oh, we're closing. You got to tell everybody we're out. That was literally just like that. There was there's not, I didn't see it coming. It's not like I had to notice. I'm like, you should have just told me. I would have stayed on my vacation for a little longer. But the bottom line, it happens. So what happens now? There's two ways you do this. You can either look at yourselves like, oh my God, my world crumbles. Oh my God, my bills and everything, and start crying. Exactly. Or you can say, USA, take a moment, take a deep breath. You know what? That's not going to stop me. Let me see what I can do different. And believe me, when you start getting into that, against the wall, all the stuff that is in your mind now starts getting, clear, and you can make it happen. But if you just collapse and say, this is it, then it's on you. So anyone, again, watching and listening, doesn't matter what your situation, female, male, over, in part of the world, the US, Canada, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. Things will happen. Life will throw in some nice little, punches left and right at you, and you just have to deal with it. And then at the end of the story, you will have to be the winner. And to do that, is important to actually be willing and able to make leaps, changes, shifts, and really just take the next step. Yes, take risks. Yeah. No risk, no reward, as they say, right? So that's an important piece. Bouchra, another thing you said that's very important about celebrating yourself or appreciating yourself. We do sometimes tend to, when we are good achievers and we know that we do a good job, sometimes, and there's different personalities, by the way. I mean, I've done some studies on that, and in trainings and things like that. There's different multiple personalities in the business world. Not in one person, but I'm saying like every person is different. You and I can be a little different. Some people, they do like, there are people like me as a leader, for example, in teams. You need to know each team member, and you have to treat them differently. They're not all equal. They're equal in terms of the business, in terms of what it is, but as personalities and persons, what drives you is different from what drives the next person and drives the next one. Some people like to, oh, you're doing great, give them some nice passion and tap on the shoulders and yeah, thank you and all. And some people just leave me alone. I don't want to deal with you. Just send me my check. I'm good. I don't want to be recognized. I just want to do me. Then they're lone wolves. And so it depends on the personality. Some people, they need the support hands-on. Some people, they just want to be, left, on stuff. When they need you, they'll reach out to you and you have to be available for them. So again, adjusting your stuff. But the best person that I would say, and you and I agree on this one right now, is that you got to put a tap on your shoulder. You got to, comfort yourself. You got to do that. Yeah, me, myself, and I. It's not selfish. Yeah. It's actually that prep talk. It's your own, you don't have to prove yourself to anyone but yourself. You don't have to beat or compete against anyone but yourself, and that's the best way to do this. So again, it's amazing that your story is really, really the story of many without some people even realizing it, because there are people are watching, probably listening right now. They're like, I'm going through this whole thing, Well, guess what? We can give you guys a few shortcuts because we've been through a lot. so and that's really what as a business coach and a shift coach, you are building that for people. You're helping people to understand themselves, where they are and what they can do to make a shift to a positive life. And positivity here is a key. Mindset is the best formula that you can use, and the mindset is really everything here, because if your mindset is all negative, if your mindset you beat on yourself, then guess what? You're gonna have a bad outcome. If your mindset is like positive, no matter what. I mean, look, you lost your dad, you had you were sick, you still had to run a family, you were in a different country, you were adjusting to everything, you still work for corporate and for the business, and it's really bad. It's a difficult world. There's all stuff, there's pressure and this and that, and that's not going to change. And everyone listening, watching right now probably is going through a similar situation. Everybody in their families and their lives have not secrets, but they have personal stuff, whether it's their kids, whether it's their spouses, whether it's their family members, whether it's their parents. At work, there's issues, everything's going on. Then we add the pandemics, and all the world social stuff, pressures on social media and everything. No one has it easy. Just know this. And, we tend to look at the others all the time. We watch what's going on with the others. We forget that we have, or sometimes we kind of shift our mind in a way by not focusing on ourselves and focusing on other people. And you know what? That's actually the wrong way. You know, the world does what it does. You know, it's okay. We live in the world, but it has to do with me and you personally. You got to look at yourselves, where you are, and how you can do better. And don't worry about what, you know, some people are just going to envy you, period. It doesn't matter what you do. If you add one piece of something to you, they'll, oh my God, look at her, look at him. You know, that's their mind, and that's not somebody that you have to worry about. And by the way, as they say, the people that are successful, they don't look anybody who's not as successful. They don't worry about it. They don't point fingers at other people. They just look at what's the next step. They're already on their path. They're solid. So anyways, you got me all excited about this.
I know. You mentioned so many things. I want to jump in, but I'm
no, go for it. I love it. But I wanted to highlight that because it's important that, you know, your experience is unique to you, but it's very similar to a lot of people out there, you know, watching and listening. And a lot of people may be stuck. They don't know what to do. So Bouchra, so you made that shift 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and you're still doing it.
I'm still, yes. I just want to chime in on what you said before. Like, possibilities in life are available to everyone. And everyone is in control, in choice. They can take them or leave them. Now, what can hold some people back from taking that move is whether the fear of a failure, or they are okay in their comfort zone. They don't want to take any risk. Think about that person who has, like, working in a bank, for example, and I have nothing about bank, just an example. He's doing cash every day, like counting cash every day. Now there is machine, but still. But he has a monthly revenue, and he's so scared to leave that for something else because he don't want to lose that money. But he forget that there is tremendous possibilities out there. He can have more, maybe with less effort. But the fear of failure, the fear of the unknown, let some people stay in their positions for years, and until they retire, right? So this is really important, that everyone needs to know that they are in control, and all, even for their thoughts. People, they do stuff to us, right? Sometimes intentionally, sometimes it's our interpretation, and we tend to be in that victimization. But if we think about it, and for all those who experience that, and me, one of them, like, I was successful, I am like nice person, I've never done something bad to people, why this happened to me? But guess what happened to me is that I lived in that
bubble,
in the space bubble, thank you, that negative bubble for years, not understanding how to navigate life. Why this happens to me? Why? Like, I worked so hard and I improved this company, and I was about to be promoted nationally to be the financial auditor because I cleaned it, really, because of my skills. But I still was fired because the big boss, one of the big bosses, girlfriend, she doesn't want me to be there because I am stopping the doors to any things that can, people like
you were bad for her business. That's
exactly.
You were bad for her sidekick, stuff going under the table.
Their businesses, and what the president who hired me, which I love, and we have really until now a very good relationship. I was like his daughter. He used to tell them, do whatever you want, but don't let any dust come from the window.
Mhm.
Means I see you, but you know, but I was the bad guy. Anyway, so why all this happened to me? Why? I was so confused for years. I was in the dark even because of those. It became negative. But the moment I decided to shift, to say, this is what it is not for me. And maybe what happened to me there was a message to step into something bigger and greater. And this was exactly what happened. This was meant for me to leave all that big companies, all that, glorious career to others and go for the unknown and just restart. Just being there. I was like, I didn't know until now how I did it, but I did it. I did it. And that was the big push for me to do it.
I tell you how I did it, for sure. I think what people forget that, when you are skilled and you have, your own personal, things that make you, nothing's going to change those. You just basically change your environment, and you can apply the same skills somewhere else and be just as successful. That's the part. You are marketable as you are, and people don't see your value. That's okay. You'll find other places where your value will be much more
Exactly.
appreciated. And if no one appreciates it, just appreciate yourself. That's it.
Exactly.
And you have to
Exactly.
be
I used.
believing. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Mhm. I became my own cheerleader. Like if I do something good, I just say here,
That's it.
bravo. But before that, there was something missing in my life. I was conditioned in a way, like my dad used to say to me, "You should be the number one in your class." It's good, but not good. I'll tell you why. I was always working hard to make him proud of me
Hmm.
until that day I was fired because that was my first failure, which I don't believe in failure. I believe in experiences.
I love
Until
it.
that day, until that day, I was like, what? He always told me, work hard, you'll get better, you'll be in, you'll have the better life. But now I worked hard. I did big work. And then instead of thanking me, they fired me. Why? I was so upset. And it's normal. It was normal. It is unjust. So from there, I began having those like value that I find out after that they didn't serve me.
Hmm.
They didn't serve me. It's not fair. It's not fair. And I end up making some decisions based on that for years until I understood in Date with Destiny last year. Date with Destiny, that was the most memorable, unforgettable event I did. I will do it again because it opened my eyes on a lot of life guidelines I was living on, and they were not serving me. I did a lot of breakthroughs. One of them was this one. I used to please others, love others. I've never looked to myself. You did a great job, Bushra. You worth celebrating. I never thought about it. I was always waiting for others. So when I look at, we have 6 human needs. We have certainty, people who want, like the banker who want to have this certainty in his job all year long, year after year until his retirement. And He passed away. That's it. Uncertainty. That was kind of me. I always want challenges. There is love and connection. Some people, if they are not in love, if they don't have a lot of connection and people who love them, they are lost. The fourth one is appreciation. And that was me. I was always seeking appreciation. My mindset shifted when I understood that there are two others, which is growth and contribution. Most rich people, they are not fulfilled because whether they are not growing, not contributing. Rich people, when they start to invest in themselves to grow and contribute towards some causes, they start feeling the joy of fulfillment. So that those human needs are so important, all of them. The fourth one, they don't lead to fulfillment. So I understood that because I am always seeking for appreciation and love and connection, sometimes even the uncertainty, I was always looking for challenges, non-calculated challenges. It was not good for me. It was not giving me what I wanted in life. But when I wanted to grow and contribute, helping others, impact their life, I want women not to suffer the way I did. Now I'm enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying the path towards my goals. And it's in another whole game.
So Bouchra, thank you for that. I mean, I'm listening and you just like keep hitting on all these concepts. And I have to at least talk about them, in a few minutes. So the first one, you mentioned something about the person that is doing the job and just basically the routine, the mundane. They just go in the morning, they do the same thing 9 to 5 every day, and they repeat the same thing. They're in a loop. They're basically just like in a constant loop, and there is a reason for that. So there's a couple of things, and a lot of I read a lot of things, and I watch a lot of successful people, and I just do my own research. But one of the things that is in common, I mean, the system that most of us are educated through is it's conditioning us to be that. You're learning to get to seek a job, to be in a job, and have a guaranteed of a check. And I think that's the thing. That check is, as they say, it's just like the little carrot, right? You keep running after the carrot, and that's all there is. And it keeps running the world that way. But only few people don't follow the carrot. They create the carrot. Right. They're the ones who place the carrot there. But so that's the thing. But most of us, when we start very few people actually start as entrepreneurs day one, or some of us do have it, but we, obviously still have to build some capital to get started for a business, whatever. To your point, growth, learn skills, different things to get you going. And by the way, business is not easy, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So that's the thing. But the main problem is because they are conditioned to making that check, which is a constant check, is nothing more, there's nothing less. And their life is also limited. So what they can do is only pay the bills within that same, amount of money that they make on a regular basis, paycheck to paycheck. And that's it. And the excuse that we all give in that realm is that, oh my God, I don't want to start again. It's bad. I'm going to do something new. What if it doesn't work? We ask all the what if nots as about what if, yes, it would happen. And that's the difference. And some people take the leap forward. Boom, I'm going to do this. Now, some of us literally got lucky. You said to yourself earlier, it was a bad experience, but it turned into a good experience. And you're right. It's not failure. It's learning. And that's the other thing. When we shift our mind from thinking failure is the world, that we use all the time. That's really the concept. I failed. No, we don't fail. Life, there's no such thing as failure until you give up. If you don't give up, there's no failure. You take that, whatever it is that you conceptually, think of as a failure, and then use that as your learning point, and then, shift away from it. learn from it, and then that becomes a learning experience, not a failure. And if you learn something new, you actually just grew. And so that means that you learned. It's not failure. It wasn't failure. It was learning. It was a good thing. And that's actually the trigger. And a lot of successful people out there, rich or just like, even the top people in this world, they have tried different things. They move one left, to the right, up and down. They had so many lost opportunities, or maybe like trial by error, whatever. And they did succeed. And the one thing in common, they never give up. They learn, they shift, they're always trying different things,
right,
and it will work, period and out. Now, if you're comfortable to stay where you are, that's okay. This is not an encouragement to, like, people, oh my God, everybody go crazy. No. But if you feel that your life, if you feel that you're getting stressed because your life is a dead end zone, well, guess what? You are controlling that. You can move from that dead end zone. There's ultimate, infinite ways out. You just have to open different doors, different windows, whatever, different holes, break the wall if you have to,
right,
but you can. You're not stuck. This is not a prison. And even prison, we have, jailbreaks, right? so life is not really a prison. You can do things in it. As long as you're alive, you can do it. That's one. And so it's on us. And then again, mindset, shifting the mind, growing, learning. You said these key words, growth and contribution. That's a big deal. If you're pursuing a career, and this happened to me when I started, early on in the insurance world, in the sales world, basically, one of the main things is I started as a rep. And that was the entry point. You have to start somewhere, and that's the end. Then that's the end of it. I came from tourism. Now I'm into sales and insurance. It's a whole different world. And what they had is I could talk to people, as a tour guide. So it's a lot easier to do this job, right? So that was the stuff, but I had other things in my mind, and I was able to do a lot of different things. So I built trainings and this and that. And in a couple of years, I was running the whole department. But one thing for that, in that aspect, is that you also, as you grow, you got to grow people and contribute, and you grow yourself by learning new and expedite your learning. But also at the same time, you help other people succeed. And that's fulfilling, that's rewarding. And that's really, if you're in a leadership position, or in a growth mode, or any position, even in personal life, helping others, period, without expecting anything in return. That's the other part. Sometimes we do it because we expect. Now, as a business, you can do something in exchange of compensation. That's okay. That's understood. It's a business. But but it's, people don't just do it for the money. If you do it for the money, you might lose the value of it. Do it for the money, but do it for the better, rewarding, which is there's nothing better than making money while helping others. As a matter of fact, I had the show, I think yesterday or the day before, we had the same discussion about helping people, and at the same time, it was actually a coach, and, also that does help people in their lives and live joyful lives. And really the concept is to help people. And yes, you make, double joy there, because not only helping others be happy and enjoying their life, but also, you get in some compensation for it, and which means you can do more now. Because if you're making revenue, you can help a lot more people and expand your helping scheme, right? Well, it's not a scheme, you're helping game, right? And so really that's the concept. So it's all of us, and by the way, anyone, again, listening, watching, you're not any different from us. And I want you to, some people think like, oh, these people, they live in their own cloud. No, we're in the same cloud. We are in the same dimension. We're in the same zone. The difference is how we think about things, how we see things. You see it cup half full, half empty. I see it half full. You see, stay within the box. I see there's no box. It just the way you have to position yourself to be better and different. And better than you, not better than other people, just better than you.
Exactly. Thank you so much for this one. We have to compare ourselves to us yesterday, not to others.
I love it. Well, again, we're not in competition. Some people are like stuck in this thing. They doing, I'm doing, I have to do because the other people are going to say something about me. I don't care if people point all their fingers at me. They're not touching me, I'm okay. Now, if you touch me, it's a whole different story. There's laws for that, right? But the idea is you can say whatever you want. It doesn't hurt me. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't hurt me. It only hurts me if I allow it. But if I don't, it's a joke, back at the ISIT, right? The university, I was crowned the king of Visotage.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Which basically, like initiation week, I was the royalty there. So, and the reason is they tried everything against me. They go crazy on you. And you know what? Like, whatever, say whatever you want. I don't care. And you know what? It was a great training, believe it or not, because in real life, amazingly, it's exactly what happens. People come at you left and right. And if you start fighting with everybody and arguing with everybody, what is going to happen? Now again, just to refer to people that may not understand what I just said, so in the university, in the year one, you get initiation week. And the initiation week, basically, we had is that everybody comes in at you and asks you to do things, and sometimes get, in your face, and without touching. It was just, civil, but it was a little bit like they make you their little servant for a whole week. And the more you take their challenges, the more you actually offset and just not really go crazy and not react negatively, you actually succeed. So ultimately, I was, crowned and selected as the winner of that context for that week. And the reason is because when people come to me and they do this, like I do it with pleasure, no problem. Yeah, sure. They get in my face, okay, whatever. You can scream all you want, doesn't bother me. It goes here. I just blank it out. In real life, it is true. That's exactly what life is. People are going to come at you left and right. Now with social media, it's happening all the time. People are getting really rowdy. Don't let them get under your skin, and in business, the same thing. You go to work, if you're successful, you said it key. You were successful. First of all, they hired you to audit. Now, an auditor job is to actually make sure to find what's wrong and address it. But when you're too good at what you do, there are people that may, find that challenging or dangerous because of their game, because they're hiding stuff. If you're doing the right thing, you shouldn't worry. But when people have, that's, skeletons in the closet, as they say, we have issues, right? And that's really what it is. But if you are going to be successful, know that people are going to use you as a target practice. Right. People usually look at, those folks because you know what? It deters them from focusing on themselves. It's easier for me to look at everybody else but me, especially when I'm not doing a good job. And the good job here is everybody can find something that fulfills you. You said it. By the way, if you're doing something today and that something is not doing it for you, you're not conditioned to be stuck. Find something else, learn something, new skill. Every day we can learn, every day we can shift. And a lot of success stories, whether in the movie business, whether in just the road business, people started, at any given age, and not all of them started with money. Some of them started from zero. Yeah, and, from literally losing everything, being, jobless, unemployed, even living in the street. And they did succeed. People were rejected. I mean, I always give the example of Walt Disney, and he was rejected as not being creative from a paper. And guess what? He created imagination. Well, he didn't create imagination, but you know what I mean? Yeah. His concept is just, you live in a dream world with him, right? But that's the thing. He was lacking imagination. Somebody saw him that way. So one opinion of you doesn't make you. That's just somebody's opinion. And you know what? Right now I'm talking, some people's like, this guy is really like, he's losing it. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And that's okay. If they said that, I know what I'm talking about. You don't have to agree with me. You can take it or not. I don't care. It's for you to dissect. And it's like a book. There's thousands, millions of books. You read them. Absolutely. You grab a book, one concept in one, the other one. You might like a book, yes. You may not look, but you did learn something. Even when you don't like a book, you learn something about it. Because what you learned is that something that you don't agree with. So now that's something that's actually in your mind, and you're going to work with it. It's just how you see it. Sorry, Bouchra, you were going to say something there.
Sometimes those people who look at the successful people and maybe they judge them, or they, maybe they are not in the right level to understand. They are not there yet. They are not there yet. When they will be there, they will get the lesson. They will see the potential, and they will try to implement what they just learned. But if they are not there yet, or they are in an environment that is different, that is far away from our discussion, for example, they will not get it. They will get it unless they are there. Like me, I read books. I did a lot of learning all my life, but I was not there yet. Mm-hmm. But when I get there, I said enough. That was the turning point, and I went all in. So that was my I just, because I don't blame people for looking at others because they are not there yet. It's a mindset. They are still in a conditioned mindset. They don't see the exponential potential.
And Bouchra, thank you for bringing that, because again, what I'm talking about here, not judging people. What I'm talking about is just that, it's a concept that people have to be aware of. At the end of the day, people start when they open their eyes. Like, I always refer to this, the matrix business, the blue pill, the red pill. If you're not ready, you're going to constantly be on that blue pill. And when you're ready to take that red pill, well, you got to be ready for what comes next. The world is going to be looked at in your eyes as a whole. It's going to be a whole new world for you. Now, new world comes with new horizons, new opportunities, new challenges. And again, we talked about comfort zone. So again, when I'm talking about people who look at other successes and stuff, to your point, they're not ready and they're caught up into that, like they'd rather look at the others. And sometimes the good news is maybe by looking, at others, maybe we can start comparing to a degree, like, well, why they're doing. See, me, I have this rule. I see somebody successful, I look at it. Well, if he's doing it, I'm going to do it too. I got to do something about it. I mean, he's doing it somehow. So let me try. And see, that's how I look at it. But some people may like, oh, that's never going to work. Oh, never going to do this. Listen, I give the same example. I have an invention. I thought about something. It sounded right. I really made it. I did it. I put it. I have a patent for it and everything. It might not make me money today. It may make me, it doesn't matter. I did it. I learned. And I give this example. It's as crazy as my friends. They're like, well, you're crazy. What are you going to do with it? Well, first of all, the worst case is I spent money. I learned a lot on it. And now I know that how it goes. I can teach someone how to get into an invention and I'll get it patented if you want, right? So at least I can help with that, right? So I look at it. I get something out of it. I have to find something positive from any situation I'm in. That's how I set myself up. Not everybody has that, but everybody can learn to do that. The thing is, to your point, you can listen to us and criticize us, or you can listen to us and pick something good in our discussion. That is, again, your choice. You're an audience right now watching and listening. You can say these guys are bozos and crazies and, they just like mumbling here. Well, you can say, you know what, they got a point, but that's up to you. We're not forcing anybody to take our opinion. And again, as I said, it's an opinion, right? We all have opinions. I mean, there are a dime a dozen, as they say, right? So the fun part is that, it's all information, and information is free. Guess what? Take it. We watch TV every day. We watch movies every day. All the movies that we watch, most of them are sci-fi or fiction, but we take stuff from them. I mean, in the context of language, we can just learn new words. As simple as that. For someone who actually, for example, English is not a primary language. When I started learning English way back in high school, one of the things I used to do is watch movies in English. That's how I practiced my English. That whole sound. I needed to get familiar with it. That was before I got into the States, and I spoke fluent English before I got here. I mean, with a little bit of an accent, it was a little bit more. I needed to learn more. But you know what? You got to start somewhere. You said it yourself. You went from French to French, and then you had to convert everything that you knew in English, and in a very short time. And here we are in the show, right? But that's the thing. It's how you set yourselves up. You can do this. And you don't need anyone to tell you otherwise. And do not never let anyone around you or your entourage or your folks that are surrounding you to put your ambitions down or to like shut you down. If you feel that people, every time you want to do something and people say, it's not going to work, it's too negative, too dummy downy, you don't need that. That's exactly, sometimes we have to adjust. And sometimes, that means you're going to let go of people. And you know what? If your people are not really supporting you and helping you to be better, my question that friendship and that relationship and that family member, it's all about that. Now, life happens and we all get caught. That's fact. We get caught, in the word. I mean, you're right. I mean, some says, well, you're not in the same position as we are. You're talking about doing business and taking risk. You don't have a family. You don't have a house. Actually, we do. I do have a mortgage. I do have car payment. I do have kids. I do have a wife. I have a life. We all do. You have the same thing. That doesn't mean that we have to stop. And you can do parallel stuff. Keep your job, build something on the side, something on the side, get it to going. And when it starts making money, then you shift back. You have options. Sometimes you have no choice. They'll let you go and you have nowhere but to start your business, or find another job, find something, part-time, moonlight. There's so many ways you can do to succeed and make shifts. But don't think that, anyone, we're talking here, we do have bills, and probably a lot bills that people can think of. I mean, running a business is expensive. Running a couple of them at the same time is more, especially when they're startup businesses. Most of the startup businesses in the finance world wind up with at least a 2 years negative balance. In taxes, you always go with, like losses in the first couple of years. Even the IRS allows that, right? And so,
Yes.
so because it is known, you don't start a business and it's going to succeed overnight. Doesn't work that way. Now, maybe there's 0.1% of those that happen overnight sensation. But let's talk about, we're in Zoom right now. I've known Zoom for years before the pandemic. But the day the pandemic hit, Zoom, stocks and everything went, crazy, right? Because,
Yes.
but when they created the concept, they created it for a reason, and they were building it as they go. But there's going to be an event in life and a trigger point where everything you do just like launches. But if you're not in it, you're not going to win it. You got to be in it first. And that's all. So go ahead, Bouchra.
If I can chime on this one, like for any business, the bigger the problem, the profitable the business. So for Zoom, for example, it was done for a specific reason, but when the pandemic hit, everyone needed it. Everyone. So the pain was huge. The need was tremendous. So this is a perfect example that if anyone wants to have a business, they need to think about a big pain and solution for it, or a desire. See what people desire and build something around it. Of course, they should have this as a passion to keep going, to give more, to feel the fulfillment and to feel the joy for doing the business, not something they don't like and every morning they will say, not again. So very important. Solve a big problem, bring a solution for a desire, and have a passion around it. And start small. We don't need to start big. Start small. Life, we can enjoy it by one thing every day. We can enjoy. We don't need big shifts to enjoy life. We need maybe a coffee with a friend a day. This will bring us joy, and we will create memory, and we will remember it 1 year after, when we will do our, bilan, our, how do you call this? My French is still here. Like when we do the year end work in accounting, we call it the bilan, but in English it's called something else.
Let me think.
Anyway, at the end of the year, we do like a throwback
review.
A review. Let's keep it like when you create small memories every day during the year. At the end of the year, if you look back, you'll find a lot of them, and you say, "Wow, I did all of this." It's same thing for business. You can't just wake up in the morning and you have a business and you have big company with glasses and decor and no. Business, building a business is a journey, is struggle, is tears, is learning, is investing. But day after day, one thing at the time, you will have something. But if you do nothing, you will have nothing.
Well, Bouchra, thank you for that, because it's amazing you were talking about that, but really life is happening 1 second at a time, or split second at a time. We're literally living a breath, at a time, and every breath is different, and and we keep and if you think about this camera that we're watching, this Zoom on right now, it's a frame per second. It's one picture at a time that is actually in high speed that's showing us as live, right? We've talked about water actually can chip into rock, over time, one drop at a time. It's that same small steps, like Neil Armstrong, one small step for mankind, one small step for, him, and whatever the expression, and it's that concept. It's one little stop, one little step, one little, piece, one split second can make a difference. And one moment, You're right. One success story at a time, one achievement at a time.
One step. Yeah.
Exactly.
One
You
win.
know, nothing happens overnight and everything. I mean, even, you know, the human is conceived, you know, slowly. You know, it goes into stages before you actually, you know, fully conceived and ready to be in this world. And even in this world, you have to crawl first and you have to, like, you know, do all kind of stuff. You
Absolutely.
stand, you fall. It's not easy. Nothing. I mean, buildings, the skyscrapers, they start with a hole in the ground, you know, and then you look up, you know, like, you know, you're already like two miles up. Nothing that's worth something. We talked about, like, the other day on arts. I mean, somebody that paints, you know, it takes them years to paint a worth of, you know, a real, you know, worthy, you know, painting. I mean, some of these, you know, Picassos and you know, all
Yes.
Van Goghs and all, they took their time to actually make those achievements and those beautiful things. They didn't even live to enjoy their achievements. Some of them
Oh,
died,
yes.
and only years later they were actually, you know, accepted as, like, you know, work of art. So don't worry about it. I mean, you know, I mentioned Disney, but Walt Disney first, you know, for years he was actually building his dream. And I mean, even the concept of world, like Disney World as opposed to Disneyland, right, in Orlando.
Right.
The way it started, I mean, the story is amazing. He bought the land, he got all the stuff ready, he got all his friends to buy it. Nobody knew what it was going to happen until he was like, okay, we're revealing the new thing, and this is going to be boom. Wow, everybody's look at it like, what the hell happened? I mean, you look at Microsoft, you look at, you know, the
Yeah.
iPhone, the Apple, you know, concepts that were small concept, you know, Facebook. I mean, it's an idea to get people to interact. Boom, now it's crazy. Now we're meta, right? Soon we're gonna be in a metaverse. It's that kind of thing. Like, you know,
Yes.
small ideas, the car, the flights, you know, there's small ideas, successes that happen over time. You know, sometimes we come to the end of the result and say, like, oh, we're here. But look at the stages. The computer business. I mean, we joked the other day on a show. Computers were as big as a room. They are literally
Yes.
filled the whole big room. You know, now it's like in the palm of your hands. I mean, soon it'll be in your hands. You know, they'll put a.
I remember this is a joke. I have to tell you this one. In the university we were in Tangier. Uh, at the year 4, when we were preparing for our teas, me and Sumaya, my friend at the time, and someone gave us his computer to, you know, tape it, and we had to put it in a big bag and hold it both from each side, and we were walking with it until we get into the. So amazing how things happened, how things got developed and progressing. So nothing happened from overnight. Nothing.
You know, Bushra, it's funny. I love to watch movies every now and then, and I sometimes I go back to the old ones, and just to capture, you know, some of the old classics. And you know, you watch those movies, and then in the movie you see that those old, you know, and they're like 20 years ago, the 90s, and the big TVs. You know, literally they still have those huge TVs, black and white TVs, and all this stuff. And when you look at it, it's like, wow. I mean, not black and white. I mean, yeah, those were a little earlier, but really, you look at the stuff that's in those movies in the 90s, and you're like, that's the 90s. That's like a few years back. But the technology has developed so fast. But these are successes overnight, you know, every day. You know, I mean, they're not success overnight. They happen over time, rather. And, you know, and people are not sleeping. Some people are thinking. And the reason we see progress is because people are not just taking the easy way out. Some people are actually day in, day out working towards the next move. What's the next big deal? What's the next big idea? And then they're doing it. So again, what we bring in here is not something that's probably new to most of you watching or listening right now. It's really something that sometimes we get so used to the live, and we start not seeing things. But by hearing it again, a reminder sometimes helps. Consider all what we're saying right now in the show as a reminder for things that you already know. And if you use that as just your base, you know, maybe it will trigger something in you that gets you excited, a spark. You know, as a matter of fact, you know, a spark can create a fire, you know, and it can ignite the whole forest, right? Well, the same thing, just the little spark. And then that's what sometimes we need, that little booster. Like, you know, your car is dead and you get a little, you know, boost from your neighbor. It's a spark, you know, and it gets your car going. That's the same thing. You know, it's just something to remind everyone watching and listening that you can do it. And of course, we have with us an expert. I mean, she she's her first client, and she is helping people to do this. And that's important because and we're running out of time, but I think we're just having a good time here. I do want to talk about your piece about women specifically in terms of, you said, like to how to help them be entrepreneurial and have built businesses successful, how to find their profit margin. I mean, you are a finance, guru in your own world. And so, that part of the business side, why, it's in a better way than most of us. And that's important. So, and by the way, this is not a male versus female, show. It's really, you focus on everybody, but certainly help, women that are such as yourself to really shift and become independent in their businesses and things like that. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. My wife has her own businesses. I support them, and that's the idea. So it's, anyone that knows, that wants to have a cozy life, and we have a joke, happy wife, happy life. So you have to help your wife. So for all the men out there, we can shift to that, and we can support our wives and girlfriends, whatever, you choose them to be in this world. So it doesn't matter. But the bottom line is, the support has to be there. And there are ways to do this. So Bouchra, just briefly, if you can talk to us, what are some of the things that you will, share with women entrepreneurs, or they want to be, how can they possibly start, and what would be the shift that they need to actually make to really, get into it? Because again, fear is a big factor, and sometimes the support system. And the reason I started with me as a husband supporting the wife is because sometimes that's the part, and depends on the cultures. It could be even more difficult than others. We're like, oh, no, my wife this, my wife that, whatever, I got this, so let's talk about that briefly.
So the reason why I'm willing to help primary women is because I understand better their needs, their struggles. I've been there, so I'm my own advocate. So like for women, when we are conditioned in a way that women has to, of course, give birth. This is nature. But women came from her background with that idea that women has to cook, women has to do this, to do that, to do this, to do that. And the list is so long. No one asked her to do that. But her background, what she saw her mom doing, she will be doing it. So we women, we end up having a lot on our shoulders. Added to that, if we are overachievers, if we have a career, and if we want to have a business, so it became unmanageable. So what I have to say to women is, know that everything is inside you. Love is inside you. Greatness is inside you. You are fabulous. You are wonderful. You have everything. You just have to trust yourself, connect with your inner self, love yourself, be grateful every day for small things. It doesn't have to be big, small things. Put a leg on gratitude and the other one on desire. What do you want? How do you want to raise your children? Do you want to raise your children in a way that they will be like you, scared from the husband, scared from the society, scared from others, what they will think about you? Or you will raise children who are confident, who are they have the entrepreneurship mindset. They can take risk. They see the right thing. They have the right mindset. The choice is yours. So what your kids see you doing that's what they will do. Like, for example, right now, my daughter, I am not teaching her anything, but she's looking at me. She's living with me the creating and building and scaling my business. So she sees all the steps. She knows that it's not an easy journey. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of sacrifice, but the result is so interesting because not only we will help ourselves, but we can also help others around our passion, our purpose. So how about looking at life like this? What if our lives is like a masterpiece? Let's build that masterpiece piece little by little, like year over year. Year over year, let's take off all the negativities, all the bad experiences, all the bad memories, and keep only the lesson learned from that year and step into another year. No year should be considered as a failure. Years are considered as one piece from the masterpiece, and build on it, and keep the focus and live the now. This is so important. The more you focus, the more you live the now, the more you enjoy your life, the more you will build your dreams. You realize and you achieve your goals, and most importantly, enjoy the path to your goals.
I don't want to have a comeback with that one. I think that says it all. That's plenty right there. Thank you for that. I mean, well, I mean, I think probably say something anyways. I can't help it, right?
No problem.
But it is powerful, and again, you're right. This is about, there is a difference maybe in cultures, and people can probably listen like, well, depends on where you are in the world. This may be a little different message. Sure. But believe it or not, I mean, we hear it more recently about, women equality in terms of the workspace and everything. There's still, a need, period and out. And in the acting business or the movie business or even the corporate world, it's been a struggle, even in the most advanced countries such as the US and Canada. So don't think that this is limited to any third world countries or some other parts of cultures. Right. I think it's happening all over the world. And, sometimes you're right. The responsibilities are different, not by culture, although it happens by culture in a lot of places, but it happens by design, because you're right. It's just how we grow up in the world. And you see in the family, the mother is conditioned. And yes, that we are different, male and female are different in terms of some of the functions, one being you are a mom, by default, and you have to carry babies, and you have to, your approach to the kids is different from a husband or father type. Right. But at the end of the day, we're not so different. We have different functions and different things, but we can still do similar things. And in the world of business, there is nothing that can, make a difference about it. Yes, there is. I mean, at the stage, and I've actually had many, women leaders and bosses personally. And I have an excellent relationship with them today, and I've had an excellent with them, and I didn't see any difference between them or their counterparts in the male world, right? It's all the same. But you're right. Some people can manage it. Some people are afraid. Some people are adjusted because of their surroundings or their environment or their cultures, and therefore, and sometimes they're inhibited because of the lack of support. Because, well, I'm the, and we can talk about our culture, for example, I'm the man, my wife doesn't have to work. She doesn't. There's that, although that's not, some people relate that to religion, and it's not related to religion. There's more to it, and we can discuss that in a different topic. But really, it's a lot of things, a lot of factors that affect it. But at the end of the day, if you have the ability to do this, and you have the intelligence to do it, and I think everybody's intelligent enough to do something about this. Actually, I've seen people who have not gone to school or are good business people. And even in the old cultures. I mean, I'm back in Morocco, for example. You have some business people that started their carpet business, in over centuries ago, and they do it without even going ever to school. But they run their own, cosmetology stuff, and trades. But it doesn't matter. So that example is not just in the new world. I mean, it happens, and there is, even in the history. Women have always been contributors in life and in business and in politics and everywhere, and actually you are half of the society in the I would say the better half in a way, because you're I mean, I have to say it, and people probably going to criticize me, but the reason I say this, without your mom, there's a lot of things that could be lacking, right? Without, mommies, are important in life, and there's no one that can claim that they're just came to this world without a mommy, right? It doesn't work with
Right.
that way. So at the end of the day, we have that's your mom, that's your wife, that's your daughter, that's your sister, that's your aunt, you know. And by the way, we don't take any credit from our father figures and things like that, and you know, our male, you know, uh, uh, partners and family members and all this stuff. It's all the same. It's all equal, but again, everybody's different in terms of what their needs and the functionalities and everything. But in terms of business, you know, yes, it's okay. You can do it. It's okay. And there's a lot more, you know, programs out there for women literally today to achieve, you know, much. I think there's more programs available to women today than there are available to men when it
Right.
comes to, like, you know, entrepreneurship and building businesses and support. And, you know, even a lot of big companies right now, they like let's say in the cosmetic world, you know, they do want women owned businesses more than you know, the other types of businesses. And just to give you an example, so the support here is not, you know, so much for one, you know, gender to the other. It's not even about that. It's about just the ability to do it and do something. And yes, there is no reason for the male, you know, not, or the husband, the father, or somebody in the family, you know, to support that. Actually, that's good. I mean, I'll be proud if my daughter actually runs her own business and stuff. I mean, to your point, she's seeing us building our own, and we try to get them involved into it. As a matter of fact, even in their education, we're trying to line them up with what we have today as businesses, to see as they grow in their business, they'll have some sort of an attachment to what we have. So this will be handed over to them, you know, in terms of whether the media or the cosmetic or the fitness, you know, in my world, that's what we're looking at, you know, and that's really something that's me, you know, and my wife have agreed on. But, you know, some people say, well, you guys are different. We're not different. We choose different things, and we have just different ways of looking at things. And yes, we can be criticized in a lot of different ways. But you know what? If you criticize me, thank you for whatever you think. You know, it's all good. That's your opinion. I'm still gonna do me, and we're gonna do it our way. And you know, no matter what, we understand the ramifications of everything actions we do and we take, and that's really the bottom line. But you know, for you, Bouchra, you know, I want to thank you for you know, focusing on that, because there is a need. And you know, sometimes, you know, women are held back because of you know, maybe culture, maybe just surroundings, maybe like just they're not able to do it. I mean, there's a movie, I think I forgot the name of it, just came out. It's on Netflix, but it's about a, you know, girl who has a baby, and you know, I think The Maid, it's called The Maid. It's a pretty good series, and I think for
Yeah.
it's a good, you know, few hours to watch. But it's a story about success, and it's, I think, based on a real story, and you know how it
Okay.
was all challenging, and then this particular person eventually is going to make it and be successful. So again, you know, challenges are going to happen to everyone every day. Know that,
Absolutely.
and be aware that it's going to happen. It's never going to be 100% easy, but just be willing and able to accept the challenges, to deal with the challenges, to move the obstacles when they come around, find a ways to diffuse any impact. And that's all there is. You have, if there's a will, there's a way. And I think you know, I said a lot, and after I said I'm not going to say anything. I had to support the idea, though.
On this last idea, you said that challenges will always happen. We live in a duality. Anything happen in life has its good and its bad. Like what I always say to my friends, my clients, when something happens, something bad happens, cry, have your coffee, sleep, do what I leave what is there with its, you know, deception, negativity, but don't stay there. Go to the other side. There is always a learning behind it. There is always a message behind it. So it's so important to accept the duality we are living in, because even if you are good, you are perfect, you are successful, you are nice, you are giving, you will still have challenges.
It's reality, and those are the facts, and we can't change those. But what we can change is how we deal with them, and that's the
Exactly.
bottom line. So listen,
Exactly.
Bouchra, I mean, you know, we've spent plenty of time, and you know, we could go for another hour easily. Maybe we have to do a comeback. But I want to thank you for being on the show and for sharing your insights and your story. And I think it's impressive. I think it's you know, very, very motivational and inspirational to a lot of folks, because at the end of the day, uh, and you are a true example for any women actually watching and listening. Hey, yes, you can do this. You can be your own boss. You can be your own, business, person, and you can do it. You got to find, but you said keywords: growth, learning, being able to take the challenges. All these concepts, are probably going to be experienced. And yes, but you are a true example and a role model right now for people that can actually do exactly what you've done. And you can help them as well. That's the other part. So if they need your help,
Absolutely.
Feel free to reach out to Bouchra, and we will have a connection to her and her access, so you can reach out to her. And I think she can help you around the world, not necessarily in Canada. Now with Zoom, we can talk. And by the way, she's multilingual, so she can help you in a lot of different languages too. So I think we have that opportunity. So thank you. Any last words, for the show?
First, I thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity to share my story and share my insight and share my views of life. And I would love to help as much women as possible. This is a mission I have very close to my heart. And if we have another opportunity to talk about this, I would be happy to jump in the opportunity and we can talk another hour or two.
Well, maybe next time we'll get a couple of people and we'll have like a nice little round table. That would be nice.
Panel, yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be great. Well, listen, I do want to do one thing though special for this particular show, because of our heritage from the the Higher International Institute of Tourism. I want to send a greeting to all our alumni there, and just wish them all the success. It's a great institution, and a lot of great people came out of that institution around the world. And I just want to, because we happen to be both from the same background, I figured maybe it would be a nice little thank you to that school, and everybody is there, and to all colleagues and friends that we've met, and some of them actually we never met. I know we're in the same alumni group with a lot, so maybe we'll share with them the show, so they'll probably be like they'll love it.
Of course. And from here, I send them good vibes and wish them the best year ever, 2022.
Well, I would wish that for everyone, because we've had a rough couple of years. So let's hope we're in the beginning of this new year. And again, it's a good year to start again fresh with new ideas, with good success, with great vision, and really just work towards your a new you. But new opportunities are calling, and new doors can be open and will be open. Just make sure you open them. That's it.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you, folks. Thank you for watching, for listening in. It's an interesting show today, and different in some aspects of it. But really, thank you for just the opportunity to watch it and listen to it, and hopefully you'll find it very informative and insightful. So with that being said, I'm Hurricane Ange. We'll be talking soon. Next show, next guest, next topic. Bye for now.